video, this is kind of just a short intro, you're going to see kind of a difference in appearance, a change in appearance. And that's because I filmed that video sometime during May, at the beginning of May, and I was going to intend to post it on time, on schedule, but school life got in the way. And as many of you know, no matter how much I love being creative and writing and doing YouTube and whatever is kind of connected to this creative circle, school is always my priority. And I needed to focus on that because my exams were coming up, my graduation, prom, and my dog is walking away, college admissions, so everything was just crazy around that time. And I needed to kind of put a pause, so even though I put a pause on YouTube and everything, and even though I did have a video, I couldn't really find enough time to actually edit it and properly kind of tend to this creative side of my life. And as much as I regret that and I wish I could have balanced them both, I really didn't feel like I would actually enhance my performance per se for both writing, editing, creative part of my life, and actually school. So I made the decision to put a pause, but now I'm back. That's kind of it for my intro. This time I'm going to stick to my schedule of every Wednesday. I'm actually pre-filming a ton of videos. And I'm got into my choice college. I got the grades, well, better grades than I wished at my exams. Everything is kind of smoothly. I finished the second draft. I'm going to talk about more about that in a couple of videos. But that's kind of it. This was kind of a short update of where I've been, what I've been doing, why I decided to take a break from YouTube. And I know that I've taken breaks in the past, and I said that it won't really happen again, but since I am in school and I'm going to start college in October, when you're going to see this is the first Wednesday of September, so in a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to start my freshman year in college. It's shocking to say, going from senior to freshman, but hope you guys enjoy the video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jessica Shirkan. I'm the published author of the action-adventure novel Boston's Vigilantes. I created my channel to document my self-publishing journey, to share my tips and tricks for writing, and to join the online writing community. So if it's a bit echoey and the lighting is kind of off, and for the blackboard, I apologize. I'm currently in my classroom filming this, because this is the only free time I have in the week to film, so I apologize for that. Recently, I've seen on different blogs and writing communities people talking about what elements make a great main character or characters in general, and these are kind of things that were talked about a little bit and weren't actually mentioned in where I've seen this topic going on, floating around, and I thought that I should talk about it. You want your character to be as real as possible and as relatable as possible. And sometimes that you know your character so well because they've been inside your head for a long time, and you know their story, you know everything, even things that aren't on the page that will never be in the novel. It's kind of easy for you to forget that just because you are omniscient doesn't mean that the readers, your potential readers and beta readers, know what exactly is going on and who your character truly is. Number one thing I've seen going on is giving your character weaknesses, and that is one of the main things you should focus on with your character, because you don't want your character to be too perfect. Everyone in real life has their weaknesses, has their own flaws. That's just being a human being, and you want your reader to connect with your character, and you want your character to be as real as possible. But many people don't really focus on the two types of weaknesses, moral and psychological. Moral is when your character is hurt, and psychological is when your character hurts the people around them. And these are the two kinds of main weaknesses, because people always deal with themselves being hurt and with hurting people around them. This isn't really something that I've seen in many novels. I've seen the moral one. I've seen main characters being hurt, but I've not seen that much the main character hurting the people around them, because unintentionally you yourself may have hurt the people around you. And I feel like writers are focusing too much, usually, not always, but are focusing too much on wanting their characters to be almost perfect, so they don't want to hurt the people around them. So they kind of forget about the psychological weakness, because no one can please everyone. You can't get along with anyone, so why should your character get along with everyone, excluding the bad guy or the antagonist? The second thing I want to mention is give your characters goals, but make the goals different and change them up. So I'm going to give my novel as an example. Vanessa's main goal was to come home after she went missing and after her family thought she was dead, and to start a normal life. A few chapters in, that goal changes, and her new goal is to use her skills to protect Boston and bring justice in Boston. Her goal changes again, slightly, because it's still hooked to protecting Boston, but her goal shifts when the main villain is introduced. Change the goals up, because everyone has different goals and they change, or they change the slightest bit and still have to do with the previous goal. I am moving my hands too much. But many people forget to change up their goals, or because this is also part of growth. And as you get older and as you change, and from every day-to-day, your day-to-day life, your goals change. Well, maybe not every day, but they usually change a lot frequently. Number 3 is what they want. What they want might be to, again, my novel as an example, Vanessa wants to have a normal life. Because it is a want, and as everyone, as normal people, as you, as me, everyone has wants, and everyone has wants, but don't always give your main character what they want, because you don't always get in life what you want. And this is something that I have rarely seen, especially in books that I'm beta reading and critiquing, that the main character always gets what they want, but in real life, you never get what you want. Sometimes you do, but not always, and that is part of life. That is part of being hurt. This is kind of going with the moral weakness that I was talking about before. So don't be afraid to not give them. Don't be afraid to not give them what they want. But the fourth thing is needs. And everyone needs something different. What your main character needs is perhaps different from what your main character's best friend needs. Everyone has certain needs, even in real life. You might see that a lot of bases, what I'm saying here, is from real life, because if your character isn't as close to reality, and if they are not interesting, they shouldn't really be a main character, because you want your characters to be as real as possible. But for the story, you want them to be as interesting as possible, and perhaps give them different needs. For example, in my novel, again, Vanessa's needs shifted to needing to save those girls that went missing. She didn't want it, she needed it, she felt like she had to, because of her past. I'm going to talk about more about past a little bit later in the video, but because of her past, she felt like she needed to go out there and help those girls and try to save them. Sometimes needs shift, needs definitely change a lot, even in real life, but in novels, I feel like it's not always. I know that this was something that I kind of struggled with adding in my novel, and it's not very prevalent in the first novel, but it is in the second novel. But needs shift, they change, and they evolve as well as, and they evolve alongside your character as well. Number 5 is your character's ghosts. Not ghosts like Casper the Ghost, but many people also call them demons. And this has all to do with your character's past. Because everyone has a past, some terrible, some maybe a little better, some even neutral. But because of your MC, it's something different. Because your story needs to be a little bit different, interesting. Your character needs to be interesting and almost unique than real life, just because your story would be boring otherwise. And you need to keep in mind your character's past and how that manifests in the present, when your book is currently taking place, and what different experiences would impact your character. For example, Vanessa was rescued in the first year when she went missing. She was rescued by her best friend, or soon to be best friend. She was rescued, and because of that, she was rescued from an almost kidnapping, and because she was rescued, she felt the need to rescue those girls in the future, those 9 girls that went missing, because she felt like it was her duty, because she was also saved. So it's kind of like a domino effect, because something happened to her 4 years ago from the start of the book that ultimately impacts her actions in the first book. Remember that everything is a domino effect. Just like one thing leads to another that ultimately leads to another. Number 6, I don't have enough English on that. Number 6 is the arc and character development or growth, whatever you want to. Tips have changed with my friends. We got a lot closer. I have cut ties with a few other people in my life. I published a novel. I passed my Cambridge exam. I got my driver's license, and I'm close to finishing high school. 3 weeks from now, 2 or 3 weeks from now, I will finish my senior year. I'm going to have my graduation, my prom, and just in 1 year, how many things have changed for me and for a lot of people, especially when they are teenagers, young adults, and even adults. Life ultimately hands you a curveball, and things change and are different, and you evolve, and you develop yourself ultimately. And that's the same thing with your character in your novel. In the beginning of your novel, they are at point A, and at the end they're at point B, which are completely different points. And what happens during your novel also impacts that. If they have lost someone, for example, in the beginning of the novel, they may be kind of cold and reluctant to get close to anyone. Maybe they even pull their walls up, but by the end of the novel, they do go through the 5 stages of grief, and their walls may come down. Maybe they find a meaning to life again. They move on just like life moves on. And this is something that writers struggle a lot with, because you as the author, as the omniscient person, know the change and everything from start to finish, but it's not always conveyed to the page. You know that when I first started writing when I was 16, which feels like forever ago, I knew everything. I was a dialogue heavy author, a writer, and I didn't really have narration, because I knew the narration, it was inside my head, but I forgot to put it on the page. And I've seen that many other authors do this, especially dialogue heavy authors and writers. But this is something you can work on by just stepping away from being the omniscient and looking as a person. From when you read your novel to edit it, look at your novel as a different person, as a person outside kind of the sphere of your novel and your writing journey, because that will really help you kind of see if it is portrayed throughout the novel, if the character's growth has been portrayed properly throughout the novel. These are, I feel like, the main elements to write a amazing MC. If you have any other elements, let me know. I would love to hear what other elements you guys have. Boston's Vigilantes is available to purchase on Amazon for paperback and ebook. Boston Vigilantes is available on Amazon for purchase in paperback and ebook. I hope you guys have a nice Friday. If you want to get in touch or just chat for a bit, you can go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jessica Sherkan. I always love meeting new people and making new writer friends. If you want to support me as a creator, make sure to check the link down below for Jubilee. You can leave a tip of $1, $5, even a few cents. I hope you guys have a nice Wednesday and a fantastic week. Bye.